Welcome to our Data Science, Machine Learning and AI course, your first step towards mastering the skills to become an artificial intelligence AI expert. Our current module is all about Python fundamentals. Check out the full playlist in the description for everything we have covered so far and hit subscribe to stay updated with new lessons and future modules. Today we are going to learn about if-else statements in Python, and if-else statements, they are actually used to make a decision based on a condition if it is true or false. And the syntax for if-else statements is very simple. It uses simple language in terms of saying if a condition a condition will be specified here, and if this specified condition is true, it means that if the condition becomes true and we have the result of boolean value as true for overall condition, the code after this if statement will be executed. And if this condition is actually false, the code after the else statement will be executed. Remember that once we have the if statement written, we write if is a keyword, then we have a space, then we have the condition specified, and then we must specify the colon at the end to actually clearly specify that if statement is ending here, and in the next line we will have the code that we want to execute if the condition is true. And same goes for the else statement. If we have else, then we also put a colon at the end to specify that here the else statement is ending, and in the next line with a tab. Remember these indentations as well, they are very important. It is a tab indentation. You can just press tab and it will be indented to this space. If we do not specify this indentation, then this will become a syntax error. So please remember this syntax to follow. And now let's dive into the example. So we have an example where we say age is equal to 20. So a value of 20 is stored in a variable age. And now we write a if statement. We write if, then we have a space, and then we have this age variable compared with 18. So if variable age is greater than or equal to 18, this is something we covered in the comparison operators. You can watch it in the playlist that we have in the description. And if age is greater than or equal to 18, then print you are an adult, and else print you are a minor. So I'm just going to execute the cell you are an adult because the age is 20. Now if I change the age to 13 and run again with control enter, you are a minor. So that is how the code will change. Now when the age is not greater than or equal to 18, this you are an adult statement is not printed. The code inside the else statement is actually executed and has shown us the result. Now there is a something that we call ternary operator. That is a very compact form of if-else statement. When you will be actually going through a lot of Git repositories with codes, and if you are actually reading a lot of different codes written by different people, you also may encounter the if statement written in this form. It is very simple, like in just one line, based on a condition, we change the value that will be stored in the variable. So we have a variable result, we check a condition. If the condition is true, then we have the value A stored in the result. Otherwise, else the value B will be stored in the result. So that is a way to apply a condition on any variable to change its value based on a condition in just one line, rather than writing 2 or 3 lines for this if-else statement. That would also be possible, but that is a more compact way to assign a value with a small piece of code. For example, over here, we have the value age equal 18, and we want to store the status and as a string. So if age is greater than or equal to 18, string adult will be saved in the variable status. Else string minor will be saved in the status. So let's execute this cell, and we see it as adult. Now if I change it to 11 years old and run the cell again, This time the status is minor. So that is a very compact way. And remember, you don't need to use the colons that we have discussed earlier in the syntax. You don't need to add any tabs, just the space here. So what we do, we first write the value that is to be specified for a true if condition. So for this condition, we specify the value first, else, after else, we specify the value that should be returned, used for else condition. Now, these are actually very simple ways where we have these if-else statements as a ternary operator as well. Now, they can be nested as well. What do I mean by nested? You can have one if-else condition block. I can say it as a if-else condition block or if-else code block inside another if-else condition block. So you can say we have a condition 1, if condition 1. Now you have the following code to execute. And after that, you have another condition. If condition 2, execute this, else execute this. And then you have an overall else. The syntax remains the same. We have the if keyword, we have a space, we have a condition 1, then we have a colon to terminate that this line is ending here. Then in the next line, we have this indentation. Remember the indentation. If you have the if statement in first line, in the next line, you have to specify an indentation with a tab, and then you write your code here. And now all the code that is written here is actually indented. We have this tab every time. In the beginning, you always have this tab. So please make sure that it is all aligned. Otherwise, there will be a syntax error for indentation. Now inside this, we again have another if condition block, and it is same as the outer one. So let's dive into an example. Here we have an example where we have score equal 85. So if score is greater than or equal to 50, we want to print passed. Then inside it, we also want to have another condition that if score is greater than or equal to 80, print with distinction as well. So that will be an additional line that will be printed. Otherwise, a outer else will print failed. So inside one if statement, here we have another if statement and some code block with print. I'll execute this one. Now passed with distinction. And if I go and change the this to somewhere 60 and run the cell again, this time you will see passed, but with distinction is not printed. Now there is also another way which we call if else, where we combine the else with if. So let's write an example code for that. So I will say if score is greater than equal to 50, then we will say we will print score is passed. We will just print passed. Okay, and after that, or we can actually do it in this way, that rather than saying this, we say if score is greater than 80, we say passed with distinction. Okay, now there is another statement else if. Remember, this is a tab, else if. Now I write else if. Now else if actually combines the else and if statement, and over here I can write the statement else if score is less than 80. And now see, I have specified condition 1 here, score less than 80, and which is actually a logical operator. We have covered it in the logical operators, and score is greater than or equal to 50. Now in this condition where we have the score less than 80, not greater than or equal to 80, and score is greater than or equal to 50, we just want to print passed. And after that else, another else. Now if these two conditions are actually not true, neither the student have passed with distinction, nor it is just having enough marks to be passed, then we want to print failed. Okay, Now I will execute this. Now we already have the score value to be set to be 60. What I can just do here, I can just provide a score variable here and convert it into an input, an integer input from the user. So I can say input, I will actually request the user with a prompt, enter the score of student, so that every time if I run this cell, it will ask me the value of the score, and then I even want to print it. So let's even print that one here. We say score of the student is, we are using an F string, so you can see I have just put an F here, and over here I'm just typing score. So it will even print the score of the student, and then it will do this comparison and it will mention the status. So let's just run this cell. So it is asking us for the marks of the score of the student, and I will say 65 and enter. And now the score of the student is 65 and it passed. I will run this cell again, and this time it is asking me for a score of the student, and I'm saying 85, and oh, passed with distinction. So you see, previously we provided a value 65. 65 was not greater than or equal to 80, so this line was not executed. And then now when we passed value 65 previously, 65 was in between 80 and 50, so this line was executed. And this time we have specified the value of 85, so 85 is greater than or equal to 80. We have this print passed with distinction. And similarly, if I run this one more time and specify the marks 49 and enter, it will say score of the student is 49, failed, because it is not greater than or equal to 80, it is not in between 50 and 80, and so the student failed. That is the scoring that we have done with if-else statements. In the next lecture, we will learn about for loops and while loops. Please watch the next video to also learn about the loops. Till then, have a good day.